So it is 99.8 FM, Case Slab, and I'm joined right now by Philip, who's the lead vocalist of band Normandie. Thanks for joining us on the show. We've just been speaking sort of before we done the interview about the Birmingham show. It's a few weeks ago now. Looking back on it, how are you feeling about that whole sort of tour? Was it weird being back in the world again?
It was very weird. It was like, I don't know. It felt very natural being on stage, but it was so weird to like prepare for a show and to basically just get my voice in shape again. If you hear barking, that's my dog walking around here.
It's okay.
Yeah, so it was very weird to like not the actual shows because it feels very natural for us to walk on stage and like have that kind of connection again with the crowd. So that was the big surprise that it wasn't really weird for us to do that. But the most weird thing, I guess, was like playing for an hour, 6 shows, 6 nights in a row, and like just preparing mentally for that as well as preparing physically for it. And I can say that I did an okay job, but I was a bit surprised how hard it hit me, kind of.
I think it is just getting back into that sort of world of normality. I want to touch on sort of lockdown for you guys because obviously you released your album, Dark and Beautiful Secrets,
Yeah.
during that sort of lockdown sort of period. I feel like it was in the period where we were sort of in and out of lockdowns, well, we was here in the UK. For you, what was it like to release an album in lockdown, and which is still working on the album during sort of lockdown before release?
We started working on the album half a year before the corona or the lockdown started,
Yeah.
so in the fall of 2019.
Mhm.
And then we were supposed to have the album out in the next fall, so fall 2020, but that didn't happen because of everything just got pushed and all the tours got pushed, so there
Yeah.
wasn't really. We wanted to have some kind of momentum going into touring again. So
Yeah.
we pushed the album, and one of the things that I feel and think that a lot of artists are experiencing right now is the growth that artists and bands have had during lockdowns, which, like, for us to play firstly, like, we've had one sold out show before this UK tour, and that was in Manchester, and I think it was maybe 250 or something. And
Mhm.
now to play a sold out 850 in London and 450 in Glasgow, and like the entire tour just sold out. And it's something that we didn't expect Corona to have an impact on.
Yeah.
I guess, like, okay, so the album must be good in some ways, but to be able to connect with people during a time where there was so little
Yeah,
connection.
we were all sort of in disconnect mode.
Yeah, so it was a bit of a surprise, but it was also a very nice welcome to come back to that and feel like we didn't lose 2 years of a musicianship, or like being a band for 5 years and having two of those being during lockdowns or Corona.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird, but it feels like we didn't waste the time at all. We had the album come out and we have built our fan base
Yeah.
during that time.
I was about to say, I feel like you are one of the bands that have come to the sort of the forefront. You know, we've seen other bands like Against the Current who are very international come in
Yeah.
and have that sort of visualization. Same with I Prevail, and then you guys. Do you feel like that's the case, like visually and social media as well? You guys have really sort of took it to another level.
I don't know really if I could be the judge of that, but I feel like we've tried to do everything we can from our own studios here in Stockholm, and then our own, like, just how can we keep people entertained and sort of stay in the back of people's mind when things start to open up, because we've always known that we had this tour coming up
Yeah.
UK, and now we have postponed the European leg of that to the next spring. So we gotta always like make sure that we don't waste a good album on not connecting with people and not being in that forefront. So we booked a couple photo sessions. We booked a live session. We made sure to have some acoustics out, and we did Slam Dunk Festival as well as just
Yeah.
trying to
Slam
think
Dunk's
back.
amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so good, and I love that it's 2 nights, so
Yeah.
you can enjoy it twice. But yeah, we just try to also connect with our fans. We started this. We were so hesitant to start a Facebook group, but then at the beginning of lockdown, we were like, okay, if there's one time we should start to try and connect over Facebook or our group overall, it's now. And we
Yeah.
started that, and just we didn't feel like it was a way to get new fans. It was more of a way to just interact with the ones that we have.
Yeah.
But it's been building, and it's all thanks to the people in it. So
So you're saying that, the album took 18 months really because of, COVID and stuff. What changed in that sort of process? Because obviously you go with an initial concept of an album, did it? Did it evolve because of what was going on in the world? Did you just change certain elements to it? What was the sort of story for you guys when putting that together?
Yeah, I didn't feel like I wanted like lyrically to be affected too much about what was happening in the world because I didn't want to have a timestamp on this album because it was
Mm,
more of a personal album to me about like my past and all the things that I've gone through. But one of the things that like resonated during this time is like the loneliness of being isolated and all that stuff. That kind of like it struck a chord in me that made Atmosphere happen, for example. So Atmosphere is still about me growing up and my attachment to internet and like social media, but it's also about loneliness online, which was a very central point of the corona, like the lockdowns. But also Babylon wouldn't have had been on the album unless the first lockdown would have happened. So that was sort of like,
yeah,
I don't know, the it was kind of worth it at the end of the day because that's one of the best songs on the album, Babylon. That is. Um, so yeah, I'm kind of happy that the things happened, but it wasn't like we draw any inspiration from what was happening in the world to put into this album. But yes, it was postponed, and yes, we managed to get a few more songs into the album.
you mentioned that there, is one of your favorites. What
Yeah.
sort of, I know they're all like your babies when you're, writing and producing and making an album, but do you have that sort of one you really look forward to in a set, especially when you're on tour, or does it change day to day?
Um, it changed now that we were on tour, like a couple of the songs that I thought I was gonna enjoy more that I didn't enjoy. I'm not gonna say which though. And it was also the opposite way around. So like songs that I thought I was gonna struggle with became our favorites. But I feel like it's ever changing, and I don't know. We always try to look forward to the next thing coming up. So like we've always, we're in the studio every week now to start writing for the fourth album and see what we can come up with. But then we also know that we have another tour coming up in the spring in the Europe. So we know that we need to like keep ourselves fresh in the studio, but also make
Yeah,
sure that we nail the songs live from the old albums. Uh, but yeah, for now, like "Bury Me Alive" is one of those songs that I feel like I've wanted to play for so long live because it wasn't a single. It was supposed to be a single, but Atmosphere kind of bumped that out of the way
yeah,
because it felt like it had more of a purpose and it felt better to have out at that time of year.
yeah.
So many people were alone on Christmas and stuff, so it just felt like that was the perfect song to have out. It's not really single material, but it felt so right to have it out. So that bumped "Burn Me Alive" away from being a single. Um, so I just love playing it live because it's like it's a way for us to present it the way it's intended to sound and be, live and roughy.
I want to go back on what we were just speaking on a few moments ago, where you're telling me, it changes day to day with when you're performing your favorite track. Sort of, as a fan, I went into the Birmingham show you performed at, like constantly listening to "Thrown in the Gutter." For me, that was my favorite on the album. Coming out of it, it's been "Holy Water." Just when you performed that live, it was like another level. The energy in the room, was that sort of a highlight for you that night?
Every night has been holy water nights. It's been, I don't know, it's weird how that song just, we always were banging it in the studio, but I wasn't expecting it to go that hard live. And like, I don't know. I thought I was gonna struggle vocally with that song, but that just came out as the easiest song to sing and scream, and I just enjoy doing everything single second of it. So yeah, and it's a real crowd goer,
Yeah.
get the crowd going.
Did you feel like you came into your elements with this, album that you released earlier this year? Like, do you feel like you know this is sort of the sound you were going for?
Kind of. We've realized that now walking into the studio again and like starting demoing for the next album. We feel like we've always wanted to change a lot of the things with the sound and like trying to
Mhm.
explore new ways. But now it feels like we've struck something that feels very true to what we want to sound like in the end of at every album kind of. So like it makes us want to go back and change the old albums to sound like Dark and Beautiful
Yeah,
Secrets. It might want to push us to, well, we can always evolve things, but it feels like Dark and Beautiful Secrets is 100% the way we want to sound. You
Yeah.
know, and we produced it, we mixed it ourselves this time as well, which means that we are 100% in control of how the product is sounding. um, so yeah, I don't think you could find a more Normandy album than Dark and Beautiful Secrets right now. But then we'll see. You know, we
Yeah.
always keep growing, and every single, like every 3 years, you look back 3 years and go like, oh, who was I 3 years ago? Like, what was
It's
I?
also very interesting as like if you love music to listen back to bands and to hear that sort of involve like evolution of a band.
Yeah,
But yeah, I feel like the you know the Normandy sort of sound is so sort of unique, especially with like the synths and stuff you were using. Honestly, it just works so well. When you first came over to the UK, what was your sort of aims that you wanted to do over here?
we wanted sort of, I don't know. We love touring in Europe and we love touring in the UK, and Sweden is a bit harder. So we were kind of looking for a second home, I think.
Yeah,
I think we were trying to find a place where we could grow and feel like we were there locally, but at the same time we have the advantage of like being away for a little while so people can start longing for the time we come back again. So it feels like the UK, like all of UK, is a home, whereas we're also strangers. I don't know. It feels weird because we can't really be part of that Kerrang Awards kind of era or like
yeah,
that kind of theme. But we also are so welcomed with like bands like While She Sleeps and Don Broco being friends with us and like being very welcomed.
yeah.
Uh, and it feels like we're foreigners, but we're becoming more and more UK the more we go over there. But we'll never really fit in. But that's also okay because I don't know, we are Swedish at the end of the day, but it feels like a second home to us.
Oh, we all absolutely love you over here. Do you miss anything when you are not in the UK? What's that sort of one thing when you're on tour that you miss?
Nando's.
Yeah,
That would be the easy thing to say, but I also think like there's a way of like a mentality that I love about the UK where everybody's just so friendly. I don't know if that's your perception of the UK, but it's my perception, and it feels like when we go out touring with bands in the UK, everybody's so supportive and everyone is very happy to be on board, and they're happy to just, at least now after Corona, even more than before, everybody's just so happy to be out again, sort of.
yeah,
Because Sweden didn't have any lockdowns, so our attitude against freedom hasn't really changed. But when you come to the UK and people come to the shows, you really feel that it's been a lockdown, and I don't feel attached to that. Like I feel a bit disconnected from that feeling that people are feeling, but I can
yeah,
really also understand what they've gone through.
yeah. And
So
it sort of probably gives you get that guys that sort of the vibe, especially when you've just done that UK tour, because you know people are full of energy now. We've missed live music. I feel like
yeah,
even now the UK is a very live music country. We love live music, especially here in Liverpool, where I'm talking to you from.
yeah.
It's a you know the heritage of UK music. You know, you think of the Beatles, you think of Oasis, you think of all these amazing sort of indie bands, but also you know the bigger sort of bands as well. So I think it's always had that sort of special place music here. So yeah,
Well, you're kind of like owning rock music at this point, like with Nothing But Thieves, Royal Blood,
yeah,
River. Like you got the best in the game
yeah,
from the tiny island outside of you, outside of Europe.
crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the place to be right now, and we're very happy that we can have that as a our like primary market at this point. Because yeah, I just love everything that the UK rock business and yeah, what
You
they're doing.
mentioned Royal Blood there, and I just want to get your thoughts on this, just because I absolutely love your sort of music writing and what you produce at Normandie. So I want to get your thoughts on a certain Royal Blood song. I don't know if you had a chance to hear it. It came out earlier this year called Boilermaker.
Yeah, I've heard a bit of it. I know that Anton and Håkan from the band here, the guitarist and the drummer, they absolutely love every single second of that new album, and Biffy Clyro as well.
Yeah,
And I haven't really got into it. I try to stay away from listening too much to new music when I'm writing new music because I don't want to get too influenced. But I love the fact that Royal Blood, I've seen them live once, but it feels like they can have the sound of a full band coming out of one bass slash guitar and
it's
a drum,
weird, isn't it? I've seen them live, and I'm just like, how are you doing
playing
this?
that and singing that at the same time. It's just out of this world. Like I could never ever pull it off. So I love the music. I feel Trouble's Coming is a greater song. I really love that song.
Yeah, I absolutely adore it. That and Boilermaker for me is like one of my two favorite songs of the year. I want to sort of move on. You mentioned their songwriting for you. What is sort of your process? How's it sort of developed in the last few years?
It's sort of boiled down to one way of writing at this point. Like now, when we have this empty canvas of just starting to, write anything we want to tap into different kind of emotions and like arrange songs first. So we like we try writing songs in different tempos, and we try to write songs in different um, keys, obviously, and then also we're trying to throw a song in there in under an hour or 2 hours and feel it out. And if it's something we want to keep working on, it's going to be there in the back of our minds. So right now we're like throwing out 20 demos or something in the last 2 months or something. And then we're going to revisit everything again and go like, okay, where do we feel like what could stick on an album, sort of. And then we start to develop those, and in case one of those songs falls through, we'll go back to the original ideas and pick a new one. So it's just a way to really dissect and make sure that it's a very, so we don't have the same song 15 times on the album, so every single song is a bit different from the other one. And that's what I really like about Dark and Beautiful Secrets. Not one single song is sounding the same as the other one.
Yeah, I sort of got onto that when I listened to it, like in full, because obviously when you first listen to the album, I don't know if you do this, but I listen to certain songs, but I won't necessarily listen to them in order straight away. And then when I did sit down and listen to the album in full, I was like, you could think this is two different bands at
Yeah.
times. Like it's confusing, but I absolutely love it.
Yeah, but
Um,
it's like this synth song Mission Control, but
yeah.
it also has a breakdown that's kind of similar to uh, the other song on our. I just forgot about the name, whatever. Renegade. So it has
Yes. Okay.
similarity of that breakdown as Renegade. It's very synthy, but at the same time very punchy. And then you
Mhm.
got Thrown in the Gutter matching that as well with the breakdown. And then you got, so there's a lot of elements that kind of ties it all together, but they're so different when in the start of the songs, from like Mission Control or Atmosphere to Thrown in the Gutter, for example. Like it's a metal song and then it's a fucking Laney song or something.
Yeah. And you mentioned just before we started the interview, we were talking a little bit about download. So will we be able to catch yous on that now?
Yeah, we're playing Download
Yeah.
next year, and hopefully gonna be able to have a tour around that, or maybe later in the fall or something. We're looking at different options
Yeah.
of how to really maximize the next time we come around, because as this time we sold out, then next time needs to be either bigger or I don't know, more dates, or we just want to keep building, I guess.
Yeah. Download is such a massive festival here in Liverpool as well in the
Yeah.
UK. It's got a
That was the
massive
first-
following here.
Yeah, we did Download 2017. It was the first UK festival that we did. So it
So
was a
it has a special sort of place in your heart.
Oh, for sure. I remember that black and white tent. It was very cool.
But what can we sort of expect from you guys going forward? Obviously, we know you're working on the new album, and that's super secretive. But for those sort of Normandy fans listening right now who sort of want a little sneak peek into sort of that, what's sort of the vibe so far with the demos?
Our goal right now is to sell out as much as possible out of the European leg of the tour.
Mhm.
And one way to do that is, I think we might play a new song live, like unreleased song, because we did that with Jericho.
Yeah.
We played Jericho way before it was released, and it was a very cool feeling to try out a song and feel like if people can get into it after 3 minutes of listening to it, then it's a good song. And that's what we did with Jericho, and we're gonna try and do that, I think, on the tour in the Europe. So if people come to Europe, they might hear a new song live for the first time.
When you look back at your journey so far in Normandy, what is sort of the highlight for you? Do you have any sort of funny stories you'd like to share?
I think every year we've had highlights, and it's one of the good things about being a band that's we didn't blow up overnight. We went from touring in front of 20 people in Slovakia, and we played a show in Czech Republic a good few years ago. That was the entire show was just run out of this diesel. What do you call that? Diesel generator.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
full bar and everything was just run off that. And now to be able to play these shows, it's just I don't know it. trying to stay humble, and I love the process that we're growing in right now. We're just trying to book the next big venue in the city we come to, and we see a progress building very casually and very nice and steady,
Yeah.
and we have true fans that we love, and yeah, it's just everybody brings one more person to a show, and then it's doubled, and it's just the way that we feel. It's a slow build, and it's amazing.
And it feels like a little bit like as a fan, a community. Normally, it just does. Like we were all sort of we went to the Birmingham show when we came out. We were hanging around with
Yeah,
a few fans there. We all went for drinks, and it turned out we were all staying at the same sort of hotel as well, which was really weird. But
part of that as well, but this time we couldn't. But yeah, we usually go to bars or sit down outside or just hang around.
yeah, and I think it's a very special sort of relationship you guys have with your fans. They seem to like know the real you, and I feel like that's really unique to get, especially in music these days.
Yeah, we might have given too much of ourselves out. Just out and everything. So yeah,
You know everything.
you know everything about me. No, it feels cool. It was one of the things that I was most nervous about going out on this tour, is just that people know everything, like all my darkest secrets, kind of. I've been a bit like, I haven't really spoken out about actual things, but I've talked about emotions that I've never talked about before. And it feels like people know me more than I did 3 years ago, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And even you doing that helps a fan talk about what they might be going through,
Yeah, maybe.
or something they're dealing with.
Yeah. I mean, we've had a lot of people coming to us and like messaging us and saying stuff like that. And I guess that was unintentional, but now afterwards, it's just a beautiful thing that we were kind of, uh, self-centered with releasing an album about, well, I was releasing an album about myself and hoping that people would connect to that. But then in the aftermath of that, we just see that it's a place for people to actually be self-centered and open up about themselves to others. Self-centered is not the word that I'm looking for,
No,
but
but I see what your point. What you're saying is like people can listen to that, relate to it, and talk about it.
yeah, I was just so tired about writing love songs and songs about things that weren't really bugging my mind at that time. And
Mm.
now having this album out where I'm actually speaking about real things and real thoughts and current events and also past events, but things that really, really speak to me, it feels way different than having like White Flag out. White Flag was still an album about things that I've gone through, but it was an album about, you know, um, on different types of giving up and different types of unresponded love. But I was happy at the time that I was writing it, like I was happily in a relationship while writing a breakup song, so it didn't feel that genuine. But releasing this album felt more
Authentic.
authentic. Yeah, that was the word I was looking for. Yeah, it felt very authentic, and it was a bit of a selfish thing to do, to write an album like that. But I think, yeah, looking back at it, I'm very happy that we did.
Well, I feel like it's my favorite album of the year, 100%. I've listened to it so much. So I'd like to take this time to say thank you for doing what you do. You guys do so much great stuff, not just music, but also taking time off for your fans. It's really nice to see. So I appreciate everything you guys do.
Yeah, thank you very much. I hope to see you at Download.
Yeah, 100%. I'll be there. I'll probably be right at the front.